What up, guys? This is your boy Perp. I'm here with Ian. He actually went 2 times in a row, both locals tournaments, taking first place with Magellan. So he's going to show you the spice.
Alright. So Magellan, you already know his leader ability. Once per turn, when you return a Dom from your field to the Dom deck, you get plus 1,000 for the turn. It's a really solid ability, especially now with how consistent it is to return a Dom every turn. Which, when you're playing Magellan, you basically have to make them consistent. So first, I start off with 3 Hannibals. Nothing crazy, it's just the Impel Down Searcher. Super good for fixing your hand if you need it, or a 1K if you really do, if you need the counter power. First biggest upgrade for this deck from starter deck 10 is Heat. Heat is insanely consistent in this deck, insanely consistent. Because you're Don minusing basically every single turn, and every single turn he's going to get plus 2,000 until the start of your next turn, so he's going to be a 6K on the attack and the defense if you Don minus. And being able to swing 6 and 6 on turn 2 is super, super, super strong. And then after that is the main man himself, Magellan, the bread and butter of this deck. Really, really good. Don minus, activate Heat, and then you minus their Don, put them off of their curve. This is incredibly powerful against the yellow deck. Because if you put them on the even curve, because most of the time you want to go first with this deck, if you go first, you play Magellan when you have 5 Don, you put them off of their Don curve, they don't have a Big Mom, or they don't have a Katakuri, they don't have an endgame. And basically, as soon as you get down the rest of your boss monsters in this deck, that's it, they can't do anything. Then after that, you just have 2 Kings. Nothing crazy, just removal. Cheaper removal, and again, Don minus to activate Heat and Magellan. And then only 2 kids. I'm thinking about bumping this up maybe to 1 more, but right now, with 2 kids, I see him just enough. I see 1 every game, and I don't really feel like I need to see more. 2 kind of feels like overkill, where you're kind of like wasting a turn, but 2 right now feels really consistent, and this is just a huge boon. Because as soon as you put him on play, your leader jumps up to 7, because the leader ability and the kid ability procs. So you're swinging, in theory, if you hit, this is the dream curve you want to see right here. This is the dream opening hand. Is Hannibal, you search whatever. If you need a Magellan, you search Magellan, you get whatever. Then you go Magellan, Heat, or no, Hannibal, Heat, Magellan, King, into uses. Because you're Don minusing every turn, so you go 3, 5, 6, 7. And then after that, in theory, if you're lucky enough, you see a Kaido, or you just slap Don on everything and you go super tall and wide at the same time, as long as you've been countering out on your board properly. I have 2 polys in here. Sometimes you don't see the cards you need early game and you need to just ramp just to put pressure on to have Don. So sometimes, usually you want to play King over poly, but every once in a while there's that opportunity where you need to pop something and ramp just to get that extra pressure. Only 1 Kaido. I think I might bump that up 1 more, but 1 Kaido, because you already run a bunch of bricks in this deck to begin with. Like, yeah, you already run a bunch of bricks, so you don't need any more. Yeah, it's Kaido. Only 2 Trafalgar Laws. I was thinking about bumping this up, but after playing with it, I think 2 is the perfect amount, because once you're swinging 6, in theory you're swinging 6, 3 to 4 times every single turn in the early game. You should be bleeding their hand dry. And if you're bleeding their hand dry, usually this will never proc. The only time I think this has ever been, I've ever gotten the full effect, is when I was playing against a yellow and it was early game and he wouldn't counter out of anything. I think that's the only time I got this proc. But usually when you're playing this, I would prefer to play a Mino Zebra to ramp when I'm on the even curve. But this obviously still has its niche tech uses, and I honestly consider it more of a tech card than anything, than a staple card in Magellan. 2 Udas, incredibly good, especially if you're going on the even curve or even late game. Because you don't have a lot of removal that's above 5, Uda is incredibly good. Just, you block the attack and you block another, and it's just super solid. And then you get the Don minus proc if for whatever reason you didn't proc the Don minus before. 2 Domino, nothing crazy, just more Impel Down Searches, a cheap blocker, a 1K counter if you need it. She actually got me a game dub earlier this tournament, so gotta give her a shout out. 4 Queens, it's purple, it's a 4 of in every purple deck. Dawn minus 5/6 blocker and draw 2 cards. Drawing in purple is super useful. It's pretty self-explanatory why is it 4 of in this deck. 4 Mino Koalas, super useful. You play it if you're on the even curve, you play it, you block if they're pressuring you, and if they're not, it's another 5k swing at their face. Super good to bounce them out with Sadie or what have you, and again, another searcher target for Hannibal. Super good to put you on the right curve you need. If you're going even and you don't have anything to play, you can play Sadie into Mino Koala if you don't see heat. Super good, just a really consistent card. Only 2 of the Mino Zebras. They're not terrible, but there's been such niche uses where I've actually needed to use them. Same KO effect as the Mino Koala, but the Mino Koala having the blocker and forcing your opponent to KO this when they really don't want to is super useful versus the Banish. But still has its uses, obviously, finding it on the Hannibal Searcher or bouncing it out with Little Sadie. And then 4 Little Sadies, searchable by Hannibal, 2k counter, and she can cheat out these Jailer Beasts. Really self-explanatory why she's a 4 in the deck. 4 Khalifas. If ever you're in a really bad situation where you need to fix your hand, you can play out a Khalifa on turn 4, and then on top of that, she also procs the Dawn minus to trigger your leader ability and whatever else you have on the field that also helps you build up your Dawn minus effects. And she draws 2 trashes 1, so that's the Queen effect on attack. Super useful, good for fixing your hand. Got 4 X-Drake. Usually you should never actually play him, but every once in a while, I need a Dawn minus effect, and I don't have anything on board, like I don't have any queens or anything. He is useful because he does have the on-play effect. And every once in a while, it is useful if you're playing against like a queen, I've noticed, or a Nami. This has actually been pretty good against those 2 niche decks since they run such a small hand size. If you do the on-play effect, you get to trash a card from their hand. It's super useful. And then only 2 of the Judgment of Hell. Usually, again, if they're pressuring your board, you have enough counters. You're running plenty of counters in this deck. So the Judgment of Hell is not, you definitely don't need to see it, but if they happen to go wide, searching for it off of Hannibal or mulliganing for it if you know you're playing against a wider board is definitely useful. But just a super solid card. I might bump it up to 3, but I think 2 right now is when I see it just enough. And then the last 2 cards is going to be 2 of the Gum Gum Jet Gatling. Just super good. There's a decent amount of bricks in your hand, so late game this will be really good to save your board when it's already big, or when you get your Magellan up to 6 with your kid. Just super good if they start swinging tall at you, or if they go after your board, getting rid of bricks out of your hand, and on top of that, it has a really good trigger if you want to ramp. Just add 1 Dawn. So super good. It's been a really consistent deck, and I've liked it a lot recently, especially in this niche meta we've had. So really enjoyable deck. Try it if you can.
Oh yeah, dope, man. Appreciate it.